Hey, this is Pete, North Las Vegas. I did a video yesterday where I had some issues with this New Frontier Armory lower. It wasn't actually the lower, it was the pivot pin, the front pivot pin here that was out of spec. And that's the original pin right there from New Frontier Armory. You might be able to notice that the channel that's machined in there, that the detent slides in, you can see that it's not cut straight. It's pretty wonky. So anyway, I thought I had this thing fixed, and the other issue I had besides that channel not being cut straight was that this dimension here, from where the pivot point would lock the pin in the out position, the relationship to where this was cut here and the end of the pin was too long. So I ended up having to trim this about 20 thousandths down, and what was happening was because this was too long, it would protrude in here about 15, 20 thousandths. And what that was doing was when I dropped the upper down in here, the upper pivot lug would come down and hit the top of the pin. And no matter how hard I pulled this pin out into the detent, I could not get the upper to go in. So that's why I had to try to modify this pin. And I blued it. And I did a nice job. But what I discovered, because I think this channel's not cut straight, when I pulled a pin in the fully retracted position, everything was fine. But when I pushed the pin all the way in into the fully closed position, because that channel wasn't cut straight and the way it went in, that detent wouldn't quite engage with this correctly unless you kind of twisted the pin ever so slightly, then it would engage. But if I just shoved it in on its own, the detent wouldn't always lock it in the closed position. So I was kind of afraid that, this pin may start to walk out if it doesn't get fully engaged in the detent. So that was the main reason why I ended up having to replace this thing. But anyway, I tried to fix it, but it was off enough on this channel to where it wouldn't fully engage in the detent in the out position. So I got this pin from KAK, and it seems to fit a little bit snugger than New Frontier Armory. It's not quite as loose. But the other thing about the new KAK pin is you look at the head, you can see the head's quite a bit thicker on the KAK than the New Frontier Armory. Okay, so we'll talk about some other things on a more positive note. Okay, so like I was saying in the earlier clip, New Frontier Armory has their receivers machined to accept a mil-spec AR-15 mag catch release. You can see I got the proper thread engagement on the button, and everything fits. Okay, so in the earlier clip I was talking about the magazine catch release, and I got this lined up to where it's almost flush with the one that's installed. But I just wanted to show you that there is an option available if your receiver is not cut to AR-15 spec. You can see that this is an extended version, and it's a little bit longer than the mil spec. So like I was saying, if you do have a receiver that's cut wider and you run into problems with your button, well, that may solve it for you. Okay, so the bolt catch, bolt release is New Frontier Armory is on the left and KAK is on the right. And the KAK is a little beefier. There's some things about the design. The New Frontier Armory has a kind of a deeper cut, and you can see here it doesn't have the release tab, but once I get this installed, this sticks out far enough to where it's almost at the same point as this one. You can see that this area here, where the magazine comes up and hits the tab, on the KAK it's wider. Everything's a little thicker and beefier on the KAK. So I dry fit both of them. They both rock back and forth. They go to where they're supposed to, but the KAK sits up about 20 thousandths taller. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. Okay, so this is the new Frontier Armory that's, not quite as beefy as the KAK that I have. But this dimension here from the top to the top of the lower receiver, that dimension's about 20 thousandths shorter than the KAK. They both seem to function just fine. They both sit in the center. Magazine catch tab, all that stuff. Everything looks like it's going to work between the two of them. But like I said, the issue is that this sticks up about 20 thousandths taller. So my bolt carrier group should be showing up here pretty soon, so I'll be able to see if there's going to be any function issues or interference if I decide to go with the thicker, beefier KAK version. But anyway, I'll show you what that looks like in there. Okay, so there's the KAK one installed, and like I said, they both work. This goes all the way flush down, so the geometry, everything looks to be okay. And like I was saying, this sticks out enough to where you can easily push that in, even though it doesn't have the same little tab as the new Frontier Armory. So like I said, if this being 20 thousandths taller doesn't interfere with the bolt carrier group or cause any other issues, then I'm going to go with the KAK. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it tonight. Stay tuned, more to come. Pete, North Las Vegas. Over and out.